So, I've just moved back to Brighton. I was away for a while.
Where have you been?
I've been to Ireland, in deepest rural Ireland for a while.
Do you mind if I ask what took you there?
Well, my background was there, so it's a bit of a spiritual journey. Yeah.
In a very real sense, a spiritual journey, or
Yeah, in the real sense, yeah.
Are you quite a spiritual person?
Yeah, I think we all are, aren't we?
In what sense? So what does that mean to you, spirituality?
It means that we have, we're all consciousness, we're all connected, but we're just in this little body in this lifetime learning things.
I'm working around the corner. I just popped out to the bank.
Okay, do you mind if I ask where you work?
Yeah, all over Brighton. Property maintenance.
In your time doing that job, have you ever had any sort of experiences which really stick in your mind?
Yeah, all the time. Murders, people dying. We had one year we had a siege going on and had to be protected by the police behind a shield.
How did that? What was your role in that?
Because there was a gunman in a building,
Right.
and I knew the property well, so I had to advise where this guy could be hiding. So yeah, things like that.
I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a Sikh, and one of the core tenets of that is we don't believe in the idea of God or anything. What we do believe is that there is this oneness that surrounds us, the oneness that created everything, and the oneness that created the universe too, and that same oneness is in us as well, and the same oneness is in you, the same oneness is in the camera, the same oneness is everywhere around us. And in order for me to be connected with everyone, I need to identify that oneness in you. So, yeah.
So obviously there's a lot of disharmony in the world as well.
Yes.
A lot of friction and disagreeing and war. How do you sort of reconcile that with a feeling of oneness?
It's identifying and recognizing the oneness in the others too. The disconnect, the disharmony and lack of stability happens when we don't recognize the oneness in the others. That's when chaos happens, and that's where we are.
What was the biggest learning experience for you in your life?
Realising conditioning and patterns and then breaking them.
So like what, society and culture and
Culture, family, everything, all the sort of things that condition you, and then realise that we can change that, or we're not that, what you identify with, you can be free.
Do you mind if I ask what you do?
I've done so many different things. Now I'm doing holistic voice therapy, holistic voice and movement therapy. I do crystal healing. I've taught Pilates for 25 years. I've been in bands since I was little. I've always sung, but I've run restaurants, you name it, I've done it. Millions of things.
And do you feel like you've settled now on your sort of true calling, or do you think it works?
Yeah, I think so. It's all about voice. It always was, from when I was little. And I've just come back to that's what makes me happiest, working with voice. When we all use our voices, we're free. It's like singing, dancing, unconditional love. We're free in these states of spirit and art, and colour. All these states of spirit, we're freer and happier, I think, like children.
If your 16-year-old self could see you now, what do you think they would say?
Probably say they all said he was going to turn out like his dad, and he didn't. My dad was a chef.
Yeah.
He's a good chef, but he liked to drink too much. It was part of the culture of being a chef back in the day. But part of his wages were beer. He'd be given a crate of beer every morning and work in a hot kitchen and just...
Did his lifestyle impact you?
Yeah, it did as a kid, because he split up with my mum when I was sort of taking exams. So it was like, oh, he'll be okay. He's a bit of a lad, He'll sort of find his own way and but really what I needed at the time was buckle down and get your education sorted and stuff like that.
What effect did that have on you?
At the time I thought it was great because I could go wild with my mates, but later on in life you think, well, yeah, they were a bit irresponsible, to be honest. Him and my mum are together, but they were going through their own shit, so you don't actually blame them for that. I mean, my mum's come back to me sort of like years later and said, we did let you down a little bit at the time. But, you know, no blame apportioned to it. It's just the way it went, and that was it, really, to be honest.
Can you give me an experience in your life where you felt most aware of this oneness, or you felt most profoundly this feeling of connection?
Yeah, it was kind of not too long ago, actually. It was in January. I was in Toronto for a bit, and I had kind of gone through some personal stuff, and I had come back, and there was a lot of internal turmoil going on at that point. I was trying to look for answers, and I think you can't really find answers when you're really trying hard to find answers. An answer generally just is either in front of you or just reveals itself when you need it the most. And there was this line that I read, and it's from it was from a podcast that my friend does, and the line says, "Jo din ave, so din jai." That means whatever day comes shall go as well. So for me, that was very much necessary at that point. The fact that I was going through that turmoil at that point, that line kind of gave me some sort of inspiration that this shall pass as well too. Yeah.
What was that turmoil? Do you mind me asking?
I went through a pretty big breakup at that point. I went from living with my partner to not living with a partner, and moving to a city, to a suburb. So going from a very city environment to a suburb, that was a lot. Adjusting to a new environment, and at the same time grad school was going on too, so a lot of deadlines and stuff. So I mean, if I hadn't gone through all of that stuff, if I hadn't processed things from that line's perspective, which is from the 6 scriptures as well too, I don't think the smile will be on my face at this point. So yeah.
Is there one experience in your life that's brought you the most happiness?
That's really hard. Yeah, that's really hard, because I don't think one thing sticks out really, because I've had so many experiences. I don't know, what one. I think you're just in that moment of joy, and then you have it another time, and I suppose I've never really compared. There's not been a pinnacle, but there's been lots of happy times, and wonderful, magical experiences. But I always loved to travel when I was younger, and you go to a paradise place, and that would just make you feel wow. And another time you fall in love. I don't know. It's so many things, I think.
Yeah. And do you think memories attached to childhood can have more power over us than we have now, or do you think it's the same?
I think things childhood's very powerful. I think things you liked as a child, you still probably will always like. I was crazy about clothes when I was little, and I haven't changed, and now I'm 62. So that has not waned one bit, that passion I have for, dressing up. And I think if you look at yourself as a child, what you loved, I think I think you carry on loving that, because that was very naturalistic to you.
Did the experience of that change your perspective on love and relationships?
I would have thought yes, yeah. Because my other half is a carbon copy, female, sort of opposite, well, the exact same person in female form as me. So luckily we found each other in that respect. We both really understand each other.
So you both had that experience of the parents splitting up? That's
right, yeah. So, but she's a little bit more, she's got a bit more sort of, she actually attributes blame to her parents, whereas I'm just like, whatever, it just happened in the past and that. So I tend to stabilise her, whereas she'd be like a bit more angry about it.
Where do you find the sort of grounding in your life that you might have lost at that young age?
Routine, I think. Yeah, I've always had a working ethic. Sort of done all right at work, really. So it's I feel lost even on a holiday sometimes. If your holiday goes on more than a couple of weeks, you're like, oh, I've got to get back to work, earn some money.
So you like to have sort of your mind just to a task?
Yeah, sort of pretty hands-on with things.
Are you able also to switch off and just sit with your thoughts?
Yeah, I am, but mainly guitar playing does that to me. Just sit there and play guitar. Don't even have to plug it in sometimes, just the feel of it.
Like a meditation?
Yeah,
sort of.
yeah, just sort of do that religiously every morning for an hour before I come out.
What is the key to happiness?
I haven't been able to find that yet, but there is this thing that I live by, and that sort of keeps me connected with my creativeness, my community, and myself. And the line is, we must leave beautiful things in our wake. And I guess I'm using that to find my happiness at that point. So, but I haven't been able to find it, so we shall see.
At this point in your life, what are you most excited about?
Just the unknown future. You know, what possibilities, infinite possibilities about where life can take you.
So you don't have a sort of vision for yourself in 10 years' time?
No, never do that. I can't think like 5 minutes in front of me, but that's not always a good thing. You know, people have a vision and it's good, and you have to have something you're going towards. But within that, I think, I wonder what's going to happen here. Explorer. I'm a bit of an explorer.
Do you think that's an important mindset to have then, to not be too fixated on a goal?
Yeah, because it never. I don't think often doesn't turn out how you would imagine anyway. You know, like they say, life happens when you're making plans. Because, you know, when you look back and you think, oh God, that happened, then that happened, and you know, oh, that's why. Things start to make sense in your life, I think, in retrospect, if you just let it unfold.
When in your life have you felt most love?
I don't know, maybe oh God, so often, but maybe more so as you get older, weirdly, because you really see it more, the subtleties of what people do for you, and you know, rather than when you're young, you can be a bit narcissistic as well. You don't really care as much, I think, sometimes, not always, but or you're focused on other things. But I think as you get older, the subtleties of life are more important. They become, the smaller things become more important, and then you notice more of how much love there is around.
What's the most loving thing someone's ever done for you?
Oh my goodness, there's been loads, so many. Writing books about me, you know, artists writing books dedicated to me, songs about me, you know, things like that, creative things that people do, or just anyone who makes any sort of effort that's beyond themselves, which has, you know, been a lot. You know, I've been so loved. Yeah.
When in your life have you felt most love?
Probably when meeting my other half. When you know, and it's you know they're the right person, and it's fresh and new, and you've got that feeling that it's going to go somewhere. I think we're never going to split up. We're just good partners to each other. And I think when it's all new, you know, you just sit there in a pub and stare at each other for an evening, and people are going, what are they all about then? So yeah. So luckily that paid off.
Do you mind if I ask, you haven't had any children, right?
No, we're that way inclined. We're just sort of like soulmates, really. Got engaged 30 years ago and never got married. We just think, what's the point?